What if I told you that there is a very easy and simple way to increase the lifespan of your car and to make it run better for longer? Well, today that's what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be talking about vehicle maintenance, but more specifically, warming up your vehicle. So, a lot of people, they wake up in the morning when it's cold out, they'll go outside, they'll turn their car on, crank it, maybe throw on the heat, and then put it into drive and drive right off. That's what the normal person would do. But for somebody in my position, what I would do is I would wake up, start my truck, let it idle, and sit for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then I would take off. And the reasoning for that is the warm-up process. So basically what is happening during this process is you're starting with a cold engine block, and you're basically needing to warm it up so that it will perform for you and it will do everything that it needs to. This process is not something that a lot of people do, but it is something that a lot of people should do, and it is definitely something that needs to be addressed because your vehicle, the way I see it, is kind of like some important person in your life. You wouldn't want to just wake up your significant other and be like, hey, let's go run a marathon, and expect them to totally be okay with it. They would need to, for like, at warm up at least. And that's basically what the whole process of warming up your vehicle is. It's more of a caring action towards your vehicle, more of a caretaking action. So when you're warming up your vehicle, you're basically giving it its morning cup of joe, you could say, or you're basically just letting it idle and get all its fluids and all of its pistons ready and up to date. So how do you warm up your car or start it? Well, it's different depending on what you drive. So for a normal person that drives, for example, a 4-cylinder gas vehicle, how you would warm up your car is you would put the key in the ignition, crank it halfway until you hear a click, and then you'll hear an electronic fuel pump start buzzing, and then wait about 5 to 10 seconds after that, and then that is when you will turn over your vehicle. But for my position, or for somebody, example, that drives in an industrial setting like a semi or something, but diesel fuel in general, those do not run off of spark plugs. So when you warm those up, you have to go through a different process. So when you start a diesel and warm up a diesel, you have to put the key in the ignition, turn it halfway, and then you have to wait for the compression spring to click. And after that clicks, then you can start your vehicle. But when it comes to diesels, they are way easier to start in the cold than a gas car, just because the fuel is way thicker and doesn't need as much heat to burn, because diesel doesn't burn in general. But when it comes to gas vehicles, you need to warm them up, because if you're running your vehicle hot on a cold engine, you're literally asking for problems. It'd be like taking an ice cube out of a freezer and throwing it on the ground and expecting it to bounce up like a bouncy ball. It wouldn't do that. It would just instantly break and shatter. So imagine that being in your engine block and driving and it expanding and just breaking apart while on the freeway or something. There's a lot of reasons why people should warm up their car, but it doesn't seem like a lot of them are working. Even with a lot of data from scientists and other organizations, they still seem to not want to warm up their cars. But for me personally, I see it more as a service to your vehicle, because your vehicle is transportation, and without that you can't really go anywhere. So it would make more sense to me personally for you to invest some more time and effort into your vehicle so that it can perform better for you and it can work longer. As I always say, ask not what your vehicle can do for you, but what you can do for your vehicle. Alright, so this is a video demonstration on how I personally start my truck. So, as you can see, I have my key. I'm putting it into the ignition. I'm going to crank it halfway. And I don't know if you saw it, but there's a little spring there. And for my truck particularly, I have a diesel, so that will be in all normal diesels, and that is your compression spring. And when that comes off, you'll hear a clicking noise, and that is when you can go ahead and start your vehicle. And then you're going to want to make sure your oil pressure is at a neutral point. You want to make sure your trans temp is not too hot. And that's basically it.